How's it going, everybody? CityZilla here in our lovely city of Crater Lake. And if you're new to the channel, this is season 2, where we are building out this lovely city that we have named Crater Lake. And it's kind of like a tropical island. We did take on some inspiration for this build. I kind of pulled from Boston, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia. And then even in the last episode, we had kind of talked about Pittsburgh a little bit with this whole tunnel bridge idea. And in today's episode, I wanted to talk about some strategies that new players or even seasoned players can use to kind of build out new areas to make it flow and make it look good in your city. And so what we're going to be doing is waiting for our newly built university to upgrade while we are building out some more residential and then creating some fun levels back here. And I think we're going to end up extending out our university this way because I was kind of thinking about which direction we would ultimately expand it. And I think going this way is going to be a little bit better than going this way because utilizing this oil field is going to be pretty important to us. We don't really have a ton of oil right here, so we probably could build out something right here. And then we could even say, like, put our School of Science down there and incorporate it kind of into the oil fields. And what I'm thinking with this is something I remember when I was in Boston, I visited the MIT campus, and MIT has a ton of like power plants and big factories that are right next to it. And I always thought that it was really fitting to have it right next to the university, since a lot of those people are studying engineering or something along those lines, to where they would be, able to learn a lot from going into those factories. And so we're going to kind of imagine that maybe there's some people studying, oil extraction or something, and so they'll be able to go over into the oil fields. And so I think it's going to be kind of fun. One of the things that I do in my games when I'm strategizing is I try to build out based off of like a certain theme. And so, like when we started this series in episode 1, I kind of talked about the square sizes and the overall flow. And initially, I had a different idea than these kind of external arterials like this. But basically, what I try to do is limit access, improve walkability. So I always do these walking paths in a lot of places where I could have a road. I just do a walking path instead. And you see this a lot with other creators as well. And it's just a way to where, like, if somebody lives here and they need to go to this little shop right here, this fancy boutique, well, they're not going to hop in their car, drive all the way around, and then park on the side of the street and walk out. They're going to walk down this little path. And so this is one of the easiest ways you can get people to utilize this. Like, look at this. We got quite a bit of people walking around. This isn't a lot, but this is still, all these people are people who could be on the road. And so traffic is a huge deal in this game. And so anytime that you can get people to walk instead of drive their car is just a win. And so you can even see like all these people using the bike lanes as well. This is another huge thing that you can do. Utilize bike lanes. And you'll see me do it a lot in my series. Like, you can see paths connecting these broken roads everywhere. And so what I'll do is I'll create these neighborhoods that still have pretty good access. Like, you can see here's an entryway, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one. So there's still a lot of avenues for cars to take too if they are in their car. But it's more if somebody's in the neighborhood, then it's just easier to walk for a lot of people. And so I end up designing out a lot of my neighborhoods like that. And then another really big tip that you can utilize is just make sure that you create some really good arterials. Whenever I first started this game, I would just kind of expand, and each new area would be something that I thought was going to be cool. And as the city got bigger, it would end up being just kind of like a hodgepodge of different ideas kind of melded together. And I would end up having really bad traffic issues in certain areas because I would end up having only like one road, or I wouldn't have enough freeway access, or like I would put too much commercial in one area that wasn't really designed to have that level of traffic, or industrial. I would end up building gigantic industrial areas. And I thought, at the time, like, oh man, this is, what I'm going to do. And it's funny, when I first started the game, I would build out like a giant section for an industrial, giant section for commercial, and then, a giant section for residential. And as you all probably know, it didn't work out very well. And I would try to go into the policies and ban heavy traffic usage so that the semis wouldn't go through some of the other areas. And it just didn't work out really well. I would, then try to build in a freeway all the way through, and it just would look kind of crazy. I'm actually going to try to dig up some of my old saves. They are on my other computer though. And so I definitely got to do some digging, but I think it'd be fun to jump into those so I can show you guys like, all right, everybody starts somewhere. And so And so what we're going to do with this area, because we are kind of limited by this square, we still have a lot of unfinished business, mainly this highway right here. And so it kind of does look a little unfinished. It's probably going to be a little while until we get these squares, but this is just a part of the game. And so you got to kind of plan for it. One of the things that I want to do here is to go with the terrain. And so I want to create this road back here to provide just a little bit of access for people back here, while also providing a different route for people. So right now, this is our main road, this split avenue right here. And then it goes all the way down here to a freeway interchange. And so if we were to keep building this out without adding more access, eventually this little intersection right here would become pretty congested. And even right now, that's actually not too bad, but it does look like we do need to probably build in some pedestrian bridges though, because we are getting a lot of people walking. Like this is just getting crazy, and all these people end up blocking the cars. Like you can see all these people have to stop. And so that's not good either. So we could end up, it would be smart for us to do like another little walking bridge or a tunnel over that. Back to what I was saying. So what I want to do is connect up this other freeway on-ramp back here. So we're probably going to take this road back and then connect it up with this road somehow. And so I do want to create some residential, and then we're probably going to do a couple more layers for the university as well. And so we need to, first off, look at our terrain, and it's really not too crazy. Like you can tell this is at a level and it gradually goes up to like right about here. And then over here, it looks like it goes up to, this is the high point, and then it goes back down, or actually it looks like this is the high point. And so what we can do is, first off, I wanted to smoothen this guy out so that we could get just a little bit more realistic of an approach. So I'm going to go a slope tool and then just go like that. You know what? It's a little too high. So I'm just going to right click that guy and then do that and then soften it. And you obviously don't have to do this in the game. You can just draw the road out and the unmodded game will figure it out. But I want to try to create something that's going to be functional, but also kind of realistic. And so we're going to go like that. And then we are going to just go straight. And I'm going to go every 2.5 probably. And the reason I'm going to do this is because I want the game to follow the terrain. I don't want it to create any bridges or crazy height differences. I want to get these little slopes, and I want it to just follow the ground. And then we are going to jump over here and just follow this out. I want it to be at a 90, and we're just going to connect it up. And so there we go. Now we have created an alternative access point, and it would be smart for us to maybe even do another road kind of curving in here to create more access. But for right now, I think that's good. It would be nice to have that access. I just think it's going to break up the idea that I have here. So I want to create a couple smaller neighborhoods that are going to follow this kind of similar design, where it's going to be kind of nicer homes with a lot of walkability and just a lot of interest. And so we're going to come in here and we're going to choose a nice height, probably at the bottom of this hill. And then we're just going to go out and smoothen this out. And this is something that developers definitely do, especially if they're spending a ton of money on building out some homes and stuff. You would not want. Kind of funny, maybe that's a little too low. Maybe we can go like right there. Yeah, you know what? That's actually not bad, because then it'll create another ledge for that other side. But basically, whenever a developer purchases a large piece of land and it's very uneven, it's pretty common for them to go in and kind of grade out a lot of it. Though you wouldn't get rid of the small hills. You would just kind of keep the hills as they are, and then only the homes would be graded. So I think we're going to have an entryway right there. And then we will switch over to a nice 2-lane road. And I'm going to choose this road because it has parking. And then I do want to kind of follow this ledge. And so if you see those little dots, and you guys see me do this a lot, I'll go off from the node, and these are the road guidelines snapping. And it just allows you to choose like a nice area for you to make sure that you're parallel with that other road. And so like I know right now that I'm perfectly parallel with that other road. But I do want to make sure that as I go down here, I'm not going to clip that other road. And so I think we're going to go out just one more. We're going to go like right there. I think that'll be good. And then because the university is right here, I don't think we want to go too much farther. So I think we will go out like this. Maybe we'll go 3 out. And then I want to curve this guy in. So I want to create, so we'll go like right there. And then we'll do the same thing with this. We'll come out here. We'll choose a nice distance. And then we'll go probably right there. I honestly think that's a little far. So we're going to come in a little bit. And then we're going to go to the freeform tool and just do a nice curve. I don't need to do that, but it makes it just a little bit nicer to look at. And so we could go like that, or we could curve it in just slightly. Yeah, you know what? I think that looks pretty good. And then I think I'm going to curve this guy in as well. So we'll go like right there, and then we'll have this guy come out right there. And there we go. Not entirely necessary, but now it's created a nice little area in the middle that looks pretty interesting. And we actually did keep some of the little hilliness here. And so I'm glad that we were able to at least keep a little bit of that. This is definitely a bigger neighborhood versus this other one, but I think it still looks good. And so that's really what we're trying to go for here. I am going to level out this other area down here, though, because I want to utilize some commercial space down here, and I want it to be a little bit lower than the neighborhood. Yeah, there you go. And so we'll make a little shopping center right here that's going to kind of be naturally separated from that. And so I'm going to go over to my tree brush tool and just right click this to take all the trees away. And if you're interested in any of the mods that I use in this game, there's a link in the description to the mod set that I use. And so since this road is a little bit lower, I do want this to be raised up. So I'm going to go ahead and click this corner and then Control H and click this one, and it sets it to the same height level. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want it to be a little bit higher than the terrain around it. I don't want to mess up too much of the hilliness within the neighborhood, but I also don't want the entire neighborhood to kind of go down. I want to keep this little bit of a ledge, since that was kind of the selling point for this too. It almost makes it like the whole mountain is a bunch of plateaus, which I think is really cool. So we're going to go like that. And now we've created a nice little area for us to kind of extend out our university. I think this is going to look really cool. And I think we will actually choose this height and come down here. Yeah, you know what? I think that looks really cool. It's a little bit tall over here. I don't know how realistic that would be. And you can kind of see this wall's kind of getting messed up a little bit. But this is the issue with using key anarchy. I could go in here and adjust the key walls, and a lot of times it will get rid of that clipping once you go back in here and then adjust this. It looks like we're just going to be stuck with that. It's not the end of the world. Just looks like a little bit of rock, and so I actually think it looks interesting. So now we've created a nice plateau for this guy, and then we could have like a nice downward road. Kind of reminds me of like Pepperdine, built on the hillside in Malibu. Now what I'm going to do is come down here and choose a nice area that's going to be enough spaces away to allow me to have that gap in the middle. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want to create a path. And then I also want to create a nice area in the front that's going to be a space for us to put in an elementary school. Yeah, there you go. Super easy residential, nothing too fancy, but it looks nice. And then now what we're going to do is jump into some paths and then come in here. And what I'll normally do is, and you guys see me use a lot of the same strategies over and over, and it's just because they work. But we will choose like right there, connect it up, and then we will come up here, go like right there. Yeah, there you go. Just kind of splits it up, and then it does cut the residential a little bit. And so I honestly think it makes the neighborhoods look a little more realistic. But so we have some walkability, and then now all I want to do is actually connect this up to the other neighborhoods. That's kind of a big selling point for this neighborhood. And so what we're going to do is connect it up where this park is, and we're just going to go like right there, go like that. And the reason is because we want to provide people access to this park and also a way to walk over to this commercial area. And so this is what I was talking about with walkability. It's super important. And so I'm going to turn back on snapping, but turn off road guidelines. And what that's going to allow me to do is put this little circle inside the square. And so it's kind of an easy way to make sure that you're drawing in a perfect little line. Because I want to tuck this back here and do the same kind of thing. There you go. And there we go. And so now we've created some pretty decent access. I'm not going to put a path on this side just because there's a little bit of a ledge, and the selling point could again be the view. And so I think we will go like right here though. And then I think I'm going to curve this one in, and then it allows us an opportunity to do some palm trees and stuff and just kind of clean it up a little bit. I think I will turn this guy into a curve. Perfect. And so now we can jump into our water pipes and click the water pipe tool, and hopefully it goes underground. It normally should, but I think because I have this clicked off maybe. And so we will come up here and just follow the road. Again, super easy. And so now that we have built out our first neighborhood, we can start zoning. And so I'm just going to do low density. And you know what, before we jump into that, let's do our elementary school. So I'm going to use this European elementary school, even though we're technically not on a European map. I'll actually do the regular one. Well, maybe if we put it in over here, that could actually be good, because then we can move the path. I think we're actually going to do that. So we will take this path out, put that right there, and then kind of look at it. How does that look? So that actually, I like that it's off the main road, but it's still centrally located within the neighborhood. And then I do want to put in just the small playground. Oh, I guess this is the large, small playground. And if we could, let's see if it goes right there. I think it's going to be up on the hill, but yeah, that doesn't look great. So I think I'm going to use the move it mod, and we're going to try to shift this guy over. And there you go. We got a little ledge in the back. I think this looks really good. I like how it turned out. So we've cleaned up our path, and then now all we need to do is jump back in here. And nothing too crazy. I'm just going to probably curve this around because we still do want to connect it up to the front. No, you know what? I think we will just go like that, because I don't really want to go behind the school, and it kind of is going to take away from what we're trying to do. And so we're going to jump back into our low density residential, and then we're just going to paint it in and then wait for them to come in. And I think we'll end up doing a community pool too. I really liked how that turned out on the other side. I thought putting the community pool in the middle was really cool. Yep. So we have a community pool right there. You know what? We'll because we set up those walking paths, we'll just say that this is part of the same neighborhood and they utilize that same community pool. I do want to come in here though and just do a little bit of landscaping real quick. All right, so all I did was I copied a small portion of this using the Move It mod. If you use the marquee selection, you can just slide over, select a tool, and then copy it. And it allows you to just kind of place whatever you have copied again. It's kind of a cheater way to like repurchase buildings as well. Like you can copy pretty much anything in the game. But then I did this little row of palm trees as well, which is really nice. I think the neighborhood came out pretty good. I like how we again did something simple, but we cleaned it up really good. And then we got the elementary school in there. And then I think we will end up doing some small commercial down here, though I'm not really sure why this little square right there is having some issues. But I think we will go like that, and then we'll jump into the marquee tool again, and we'll go like that, and we'll go like that. And then we're just going to draw in some paths so that people within the neighborhood can get over here pretty easily. And there we go. You know what? I think it looks good. And we have created a nice walking path right next to a junction to where they can cross the street. And then now there's some small shopping, not a lot, but enough for this little area, like maybe a corner market. You don't want to overdo it, but you want to provide enough access. And so let's go ahead and jump over to our school and see where we are at with this. So it looks like we got the students, we got the campus attractiveness. We're literally just waiting for the academic works. And so I think because we got a 39% chance and we're so close, we ends in 5 weeks. So I think we'll just wait a second for this to upgrade. Okay, after quite a few hours, we have finally reached level 2 for our campus. And it was kind of weird. I had forgotten that you do need to still contribute to the research grants. And I'm pretty sure it increases your chances for getting the academic works, because I had actually waited, and then the first academic year we didn't get any, and so I was like, wow, we literally just waited all that time for nothing. And so I ended up contributing, and then of course we went a whole nother year and we only got one, and so I ended up have to wait a whole nother year. And so good thing is, I mean, the waiting has bolstered our reserves, and so now we have a pretty good amount of money. But let's go ahead and look at what we unlocked. And so we are in the trade school campus area tab, and I believe the last thing we placed on this list was the book club. And so we have the book club and the groundskeeper over there, which is the guy right next to that. So we have unlocked the trade school outdoor study area, which I really like. It's kind of big. It's almost like a park, but it has a good mix of tables and trees and stuff. And then we have unlocked the trade school gymnasium, the trade school cafeteria, and then the trade school fountain. And so the reason why we're pivoting to this is because I really want to focus on building out this university, but then I also want to kind of build up into this area before we start building out some more residential. This residential community that we were building looks really good. I think it came in pretty good. I do wish that we had followed the same kind of theme with this one and done the self-sufficient buildings from the Green Cities DLC. But if I were to change it right now, all these people would have to move out. And so I really don't want to do that. And you can kind of see the district does cut this area. So maybe actually we'll take the hit, and because I didn't notice that until just now. And so we're actually going to paint this in as the same district. And it does kind of put us in a sticky situation because all these people are going to have to move out now. This would be like a weird scenario where somebody moved in, especially like this house. This is a huge house. This person was like, I'm going to build the biggest house possible, and just smacked it right in the middle of the neighborhood, right next to these small little houses on the end. But yeah, they're going to have to move out now, and then they are going to have to conform to our new building standards, which I'm sure a lot of people are really upset about. But let's go ahead and jump over here. So I want to create a nice area for this, the outdoor study area. And then I thought it would be really cool to do the cafeteria, and then to build kind of like a bigger plaza with some seating, and then probably do some planter rows with a bunch of trees. And then I ended up going onto the Steam Workshop, and I got a bunch of these like custom plazas. One of them is this restaurant plaza that I really like. I'm just going to place it down so you guys can see. It's really cool. It's just a bunch of tables and some lights, and it's kind of funny. There is a little bit of a barbecue, but we're just going to pretend like that's not there. But I really like this, and I think this is going to work out well in front of the cafeteria, kind of like an outdoor eating area for the university. And then I ended up getting this small little plaza as well. It's called the Mini Plaza. And this one is by Centurion Wolf. And then the restaurant one is by G.C. Vos. And again, those will be in my underneath the Crater Lake asset list on Steam. But this one's really cool because it's like a little baby plaza. It's only a 2x2 square. And so you can really do a lot with this. Like you can place this in a number of scenarios since it's not very large. And then what I was thinking is we could take the trade school gymnasium and possibly tuck it in right here, because I'd really like to do something with this area. It is a little bit hilly, but I think it would be kind of a shame to lose this. But we could also do a park over here as well. And so I'm not really sure. I've been kind of going back and forth over it. I think for the residents, they have a really big park right there, but we really don't have. So this area counts as a park because we have the little gazebos, but I think it being right next to the dormitories, it would actually be a really nice feature to put in a big park. So let's see if we can get one of the bigger guys in here. I mean, this guy is huge. So you know what? I actually kind of like that. It is a little bit up on a hill, so maybe let's play around with the terrain a little bit, and we are going to favor the school side for this. And so we're going to right click on the bottom of that road, and then we're just going to go like that. And we're just going to assume that this is like an outdoor seating area for the dormitories. And it's kind of funny. This road is actually backwards. I'd put the bike lanes on the right side of the road. Yeah, there you go. It doesn't really matter which direction it's choosing. It's just when you have it on the wrong side, it kind of creates that bike lane crossover that you really don't want. And it does flip the parking as well. The parking's in this little slip. And so what I want to do now is connect up some paths with this just so that we can provide a little bit of access for our residents as well. I feel like this would be a pretty nice amenity for the area, even though they do already have a park. And you know what? I think that looks pretty good. It is still a little bit of a hill, but it drops right into that. And I think it looks really good. And I think those are just our standardy trees. So what we're going to do is go over to the Move It mod, do the marquee selection, and I'm just going to select a small bit of these and then copy them. And then all we're going to do is kind of fill in this area a little bit. And so I think that looks really good. It's not overdone, but it allows a shortcut through for people who are maybe trying to get to the university from within that neighborhood. But then it also provides a nice little seating area for the dormitories and everything. And so what I'm thinking for this area, again, is really big plaza. So we'll probably do a road all the way around this guy. And so I'm going to go ahead and fill this in with the surface painter. And then I'm going to place a couple of those restaurant plazas. And then I'm going to place down some planters and some trees. And so we're going to do a little bit of YouTube magic and I'll show you whenever it's done. All right, and so this is what I was kind of envisioning. I ended up using Surface Painter to paint in this area, but then I did a bunch of these little tables to create that outdoor kind of eating area for the cafeteria, which we placed right here. And overall, I think it came together really well. It's not overly complicated. I ended up using planters with prop line position, precision, and the prop line tool to be able to do these in like a perfectly straight line. And then I just placed in some palm trees, and then I used a couple of those mini plazas just because I think they look really cool. And with the fountains, it kind of cleans it up and creates some, small separate spaces, kind of like these miniature plazas in here with the benches. It just kind of, increases the variety a little bit. So then the last thing I want to do is just create a path around this guy, just so that we can continue on our school path. And then also help to clean up this area a little bit more as well. And then I'm going to go in here and just place a couple palm trees around the outside. Nothing too crazy, just a few. And you know what? I think this whole area looks good. Again, it's not overly done, but it's a nice like quad area for the school. And so this would be a nice addition for the area. And so we could definitely probably put in the gymnasium over here as well, since this is like a school area. And so I think we are going to do that. And we're going to expand our campus a little bit just so that we can get this back edge. And there we go. And then we will go back in here. And I think I'm going to put the media library sideways on this. Let's see how it looks. Just because I think I think that looks nicer when it's a little long ways. Though because it is much longer than this, I think it does kind of mess it up just a little bit. So maybe if we just go like that. No, I think it's kind of encroaching a little bit on that path. So maybe we'll just go like that. And then we will take our path and build it around. Yeah, there we go. And so I took a little bit of finagling to get that to fit in perfectly. And then we are just going to place a couple of these guys in. And I'm going to hit Shift P for prop and tree anarchy. And there you go, nothing crazy. Detailing can actually be really simple. You just kind of add in a few things. And then we are going to reserve these other spaces for some more school buildings, since this kind of quad plaza area would definitely be a point of interest for the university. And then I think what we're going to do, we have one more building that we haven't placed, and it's this trade school fountain. And I had left this area empty over here to be able to kind of decorate it up a little bit. And I think it's a good area for it. And so I think we will go like that. And then what we could do is do some more of those seating plazas. I think that let's go ahead and place one and just see how it looks. So maybe we'll go like right there. And then we'll go like right there. I think that one was a little off. So we will shift this one over just a little bit. And you know what? I think that looks pretty good. It's not overly done, but it provides a little bit of seating for students or anybody who was coming to the university. And then we are going to go like that. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. And there we go. Just to clean it up. And then I think we'll go back to those miniature plazas just because I really like how they look. I think they're such interesting little buildings. And there we go. And then we will go into Surface Painter and adjust our brush size because we really don't want to overpaint this guy. And voila. Look at that. Super easy. And so now we'll just keep these concrete. They have some fountains in there for areas to sit down, but this would just be a really nice entrance. You end up coming into the university and you see these huge plazas, and this is definitely more of kind of like a modern one, but there's still some green belt areas over here with the palm trees and everything. And so I think this looks pretty good. And so let's go ahead and see. Let's make sure that we placed all the buildings. So we got outdoor study area, we got the gymnasium and the cafeteria, but then we also have the trade school fountain. So yeah, it definitely looks like we were able to get everything. And that's fantastic. Let's look at our level and see how close we are. So it does look like we need some more students, and the easiest way to get more students is to build out more residential. And so I think building out another neighborhood is definitely in our future. And so the campus attractiveness is good. And so let's go ahead and build out another neighborhood. And for this one, I think we're going to go on a different height because I see that this kind of goes up. I think maybe if we choose like this position right here, I think it'll be good. So what we're going to do is go into the level terrain tool. We're going to choose right here, and then we're just going to brush this out, and we are going to see how much of a difference this leaves versus our neighborhood over here. Yeah. You know what? I think that is pretty good. It's a safe height. It still is like quite a bit higher, but not overly done. And so we'll still carve out an area here for probably some more commercial or city services. And then we will design our neighborhood around this guy. And so I'm going to jump into a 4-unit road and something with trees. And then we are going to try and find that spot where we place the level at. I think it was like right here. I'm going to turn back on snapping so we can get that 90-degree angle. And then I'm going to go just 2 squares out from the 4. And it looks like I have prop and tree anarchy on, so the trees are not being hidden. There we go. And one of the things you can do to really help out the game is to actually remove the trees, because the trees do hurt your overall node count in the game, and then they can't hurt FPS and overall game stability. Though hiding them is not going to kill you. It's just whenever you get really big cities, you'll start to experience a little bit of a lag in the game. And something like that. Just a really easy neighborhood, nothing too complicated, but something that is still functional. And then we're just going to go like that. And we're going to leave the space in the middle for maybe, bigger backyards or something. But I think that's overall, pretty good. It leaves enough room for us to do some more paths in here. And then the homes aren't too crowded. And so I think this would be a nice neighborhood. And then we are just going to do all the path networks real quick. And you know what? I think that looks pretty good. We have the access in here. I ended up doing some of those curves again just because I think it looks really interesting. And then I ended up extending this path over here and connecting it up here just because I think it's a really good cut through. And then I think what we'll do is we'll connect this guy up and we'll go to freeform and we'll go like right there, because then look at that. It's a nice cut through for pretty much this entire neighborhood. And we could even connect this neighborhood up to it as well. Even though that is kind of a steep hill, but it's not too bad. They would probably just put stairs right there. But now people in the university can cut through up here just really well. I mean, our path network in here is fantastic. We got these paths running through all the neighborhoods going in here. And so now what we can do is jump into node controller and go in here and create some crosswalks for these, especially because they're residential. You would just have people would probably just cross without the crosswalk, but it's nice to have the crosswalk actually there, because in the game they won't cross without a crosswalk. And then I think we will make a crosswalk right here too. And there we go. And then these ones have this crosswalk right here, so I don't think we really need to worry about that too much. And then we need to put down some water pipes real quick. And then let's go ahead and look at our city services and see how we're doing. So elementary, we have one there, and we have one here, and our capacity is way up. So basically what that tells us is we have adequate coverage for elementary schools. And we have a high school right there. And so it looks like that high school is covering this area pretty good as well, though it does look like this little neighborhood down here might be suffering. So what we can do is actually click on the high school. and see how full it is. So we can come in here. So 631 out of 1,000. So they actually still have room. I'm not entirely certain why these people aren't adequately covered. It might be because they're a little too far. And looking at this path right here, that doesn't seem like a very safe path. This one, I could see this being like a trip and fall scenario. And so we're actually going to go in here and hit the force elevated piece, create a little bridge out of that. And so now we got a nice ramp, something a little safer, more realistic. And so going back over here, I think we are pretty good. Let's go ahead and look at our medical clinics and everything though. So it looks like we got a pretty good coverage right there. Let's look at our fire. So our fire is pretty good, though it does look like we are starting to get a little stretched. So I think we'll end up placing another fire department down here. But then we can look at our police as well. So the police is good, but you can kind of see this is already turning a different shade of blue. I do want to go in here, though, before we forget. So I think we'll end up placing all three. Just because we are going to still expand over here, and once this is unlocked, we're going to end up expanding over here. So I think it would be smart. And so we're going to create just a small little complex. Anybody who's familiar with my builds, I'm really big on building out like small commercial areas, just because having the zoning or whatever on the road a lot of times isn't the best bet, your best bet, just because it can block traffic and all that stuff. And so having it off on a different road is normally better. And so we're going to place a medical clinic. We're going to do the fire department, and then we're going to place a police department. And then we could actually go in here as well and maybe we don't have any cemeteries over here. I didn't even think about that until just now. I think we'll place a crematorium in here, and this will just be kind of like a city service block. Not really any shopping or anything, which does kind of suck, but we could put just a little bit of commercial on this side, but I think the 1x blocks will probably end up being a little too small. But let's go ahead and see just what it gives us. So maybe we'll come back through here. I know the 2x1s, you get a lot of ATMs or you get gas stations. And so maybe we'll see if that gives us anything good, because we do have some commercial over here. And so this wouldn't be terrible. And so we're going to zone this in now, and I'm just going to do low density again. And I'm going to pause it before it starts building out, because I do want to make sure that our district is painted over here again, so that we don't end up having to tell everybody to move out like we did last time. And so now this is going to come in as self-sufficient again, and it's going to look really good. And I'm excited to see it. I think while we're waiting, what we'll do is maybe create a little bit more commercial on this front side. I think that would be good. Maybe we'll go like that as well. Just some small shops, nothing too crazy. But I think we will go into the level terrain tool and push this back just a little bit. There we go. Just so we can get that ledge a little closer to the neighborhood. And it does look like we messed up with the roads here again. So I'm going to switch them to the right side. Not sure exactly why that flips around. I think it just has to do with the way that I'm painting the roads. And so I think this neighborhood looks pretty good. Again, we didn't overdo it, but we're creating some little separate areas. And I really like how we did the walking paths. And as we can already see, we're definitely getting a pretty decent amount of people walking. And the key really is just those paths. The more paths you make, the more people will walk. Like you guys can see down here, we're just getting some crazy action. And what this tells us too is once we get like a metro or something coming through here, or even a bus line, we're really going to start, people are going to start using it pretty quickly. And it's kind of funny, while I was waiting, I was playing around with this. And so this was an idea that I had for this area, but I was planning on deleting it and getting rid of it. But let me know what you guys think of this. I think we are going to get rid of it and then go back to the original form it was before I had done that kind of jump cut. But let me know if you guys like that, because I want to do something along those lines. Like when I had first started this build, I had talked a lot about Washington, D.C. And in Washington, D.C., that's a really big feature of them, of that city, is having these roundabouts kind of spread out through the whole city. And they always have monuments in them. Like there's literally monuments for like all the presidents, and there's huge parks. And it's just really cool. I ended up doing a driving tour where I literally drove after all the little roundabouts and everything. It's really cool. One of the coolest things there too was one of the easiest ways you can increase your flow through roundabouts is to create cut roads. So like say this street is really high volume. Well, what you can do is have a street branch off in the middle and go underneath the roundabout and then go back here. You see that in Boston as well with the under streets, but Washington, D.C. was the biggest area. I actually don't know if it was Boston. It might have just been Washington, D.C., but just a really cool way to increase your flow. And so I think that's it for this episode. We did a lot. We accomplished quite a bit. We still have a little bit of room for maybe some detailing. Let's go ahead and place down some trees real quick before we give up, because I think we kind of left this a little barren. We didn't really do anything with it. And then I think we will end up maybe doing a park here, like a bigger park, maybe a community pool as well. I think that would be good. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that real quick. And then we will leave that path like that because I really don't want to mess this up too much. I think having that slope like that is good. And then what we can do is come in here and choose a nice park, not too crazy. I want it to be on the smaller side, because then what I want to do is go in and do another community pool. I really like having these in neighborhoods. I think it's just such a nice feature. And you know what? I think that looks pretty good, even though it is a little slanted. I think we're going to shift this over, and then we're going to shift this just a little bit. Just shift that. You know what? I think that's probably about as good as we're going to get it. And it actually looks pretty good. We would just assume that this whole down section wasn't there. This would definitely be poor construction. There'd probably be a bunch of lawsuits for this, like concrete not poured correctly. And so then we're just going to jump into our lovely foliage again. Just kind of clean this up. And you know what? I think that is a great addition for the neighborhood. And then we'll probably end up coming back through here and doing some more palm trees in the middle like we've done in the past, since this is kind of a bigger neighborhood. And I think it'll maybe clean up this area a little more. Yeah, something like that. It's not overly done, so there's still some areas for maybe grass areas for kids to play or people to like walk their dog or something. But then it's cleaned up enough to where it would be still pretty good. And I think because this one is a little bit higher, these homes actually do have something of a view. Again, you can kind of see the Ferris wheel in the background. The school is kind of blocking some of the view, but they do have a pretty decent little view. Let's go ahead and look at, so we have an abandoned building warning. Looks like it's still our industrial, which our industrial is doing a lot better than it was, but we're still having some employment issues. But this should bring out some more residents for us. We're still a little ways away from the 30,000 mark that we need for the next unlock, but I think this looks pretty good. Another thing I ended up doing while we were waiting for this to unlock is I actually went in and put in some lights. It looks really cool. And here we go. This is kind of just before sunrise, but you can kind of see I put these blue lights along here. I think it looks really cool. And then I ended up putting in lights in our parking lot because we were kind of missing some of them. And I don't focus on showing my cities at night too much, but I think I'm going to start doing it a little more just because seeing the lights and everything can look really cool. Like having the more warmer lights on some of the streets and then the LEDs on other. And it really just kind of shows some really interesting stuff. And so I ended up putting some blue lights on this as well, because we are going to be expanding out our metro. And then I ended up putting some lights on this as well, just because I thought that this was a really cool opportunity to kind of light up the dam. But I really like this blue right here, kind of lighting up the key and kind of, showing off our university a little bit. Like you would be driving down here and the university would probably even be the university's colors. But then you can kind of see like the lights in here and it just looks really good. It does look like these lights aren't on. Same with these lights. Some of these are, some of them aren't, but it looks really cool, and you can see all these people walking through here too. It looks like people are actually sitting down at these tables, which is fantastic. But yeah, I think that's it for this episode. Let me know what you guys think. And on the next episode, we're going to be focusing on level 3 for the university. So we're going to be building out this lower section right here. And then we're still going to be working on that population. Maybe we'll do a high density neighborhood, since that's really going to be what pushes us over. But then we also still need to do this forestry area. And then we're going to be starting this oil industry as well. So we have some industries episodes coming up. And then hopefully we can start building out this industrial area, because we definitely need to do a freeway on-ramp, off-ramp right here. And then we're going to do some pretty cool stuff. I was thinking about doing a park, kind of waterfront park for the business district, and then having varying levels of height for the buildings kind of stretching out. And so some exciting stuff. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like rating. It definitely helps the videos to get out there, and it kind of sends a message to YouTube that it's a good video. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next episode.